Welcome back to BC Procast, episode 4D. The big 4-0. Wow, in 10 weeks, we're going to be at 50. That's a celebration thing, right?
That has to be. Wait, 52 is a year.
I was just going to say, how many...
I know, dude,
that
we're
kind of
almost
just
there.
blew my mind.
We're almost
goodness,
there.
That's weird. That's weird.
52, we have to shave our heads.
Do we celebrate 50?
Did we just lose another bet?
Do we celebrate 50 then, or... No, because...
I felt like
that's a lot of episodes, but then 52 is like the year mark.
Just right after, just another celebration.
Another celebration.
The same energy as well. It's just like always going to be like that.
Yeah, well, welcome back. This is episode 40. We're happy to be here. I think we're going to talk about some cool things. I think Kay might have some questions. I just recently... We're going this way, right?
Oh, yeah, let's go on.
I just recently came back from a trip from Europe.
So you welcome back.
Yeah. You guys welcome back as well. Yeah, I was just in Europe, and I traveled. I started off, I flew from Chicago after driving like 35 hours from across the country. I flew from Chicago to Iceland, had a layover there for like barely any time.
Is it cold there?
It was cool, but it wasn't cold.
Wasn't ice?
No. In fact, they say Iceland's like the opposite of Greenland. I flew over Greenland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you could see when like there's no clouds, just a bunch of like mountains and snow. Because Greenland's more ice, and then Iceland's more green. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, right? So then I went to Manchester, flew into Manchester, then spent some days in Manchester. I saw Manchester City Stadium. Toured it. I have a lot of crazy cool stories from there. Did some karaoke. Got like interviewed for a German magazine about streetwear, actually, for soccer jerseys. Then from there, flew to Barcelona. Met my other friends. So I went on this trip with two other friends. And one friend came and joined us later in Barcelona. Then for Barcelona, we went and saw the city. We played soccer in
which is crazy.
The streets of Barcelona, pickup game. I was like, juegar, Trace. And they go, you three people want to play? And I'm like, oh, so you understand what I'm saying? And then we played a pickup soccer or football. It was amazing. Like, it's just a crazy thing to think about. I was like, Messi did that.
Right.
Like, this is a mind-blowing thing. Then from there, went up to Paris. And Paris, that was during the Olympics. I got this Tour de France hat there because I thought it was cool. But also I have like a Paris hat as well, an Olympics hat as well. But we were there during all the festivities. We saw all the like the cool setups they had. We tried baguettes. We had all the good food. And we met an Olympian.
Which is crazy.
I think his name was Joseph Green. I'm forgetting his first name now. Something Green. He ran for Guam in the 100-meter sprint for the Olympics. He didn't make out his first heat, sadly, but he was in the Olympics, so that's cool. Then from there, we went up to Amsterdam. We rode bikes all across Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Then from there, we went to Berlin, and I had Wiener Schnitzel. I had some currywurst, which is like a sausage, and then the other one's like a squished up like chicken. I think that's how they describe it. I don't remember how
squished up chicken
or pork or I don't know. It's like a pork chop, yeah. So it's like what Random makes, the pork chops.
Oh, okay.
That's what that's called.
Wiener Schnitzel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So did that. Saw the Berlin Wall. Then we like limed on scooters for like 20 miles to like the airport. Spent the night in the airport outside. Kind of going through everything pretty quickly. Then we flew from there to Venice, Italy. 3 guys took a gondola, and if you know what a gondola is, going through Venice, that's like a really romantic thing. When the moon hits you like a big pizza pie, that's amore. While like pushing you, just 3 guys on a boat. It was really cool seeing all the spots, and that's where we had Italian. If you don't know, I'm Italian, part of Italian. And having pasta and pizza there was like amazing. Yeah, a little bit of Parmesan. But pasta and pizza was amazing there. That was spectacular. And then from there we went to Rome. And the Coliseum reminded me of my times that I fought in the Coliseum and say, "Are you not entertained?" So that was really cool.
Did people recognize you?
No, because I kind of like I would punch them in the face before they could.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like a whole Coliseum fighting thing. So add more for breakfast. So we arrived in Rome early in the morning, and when in Rome, I had spaghetti and meatballs for breakfast, and it was amazing. I loved it. I loved every noodle.
Every noodle.
Then walked around, saw all the ruins, which I don't get because like you want to see things put together, but everything's ruined. A lot of people seeing those things. I don't know why, but it was very, very cool. Then from Rome, we flew to London. So we were in Manchester at the beginning, and then we went to London at the end. And London was awesome. It was so cool to see the Big Ben. I had fish and chips. A proper English breakfast, if you can tell.
Whoa,
my accent
that actually wasn't bad.
has gotten better because of it, because I've interacted and talked with them and kind of made fun of them and laughed because I'm like, rubbish. Anyone got any rubbish? That's trash.
Did you ever try to like fake an accent just to see if you could?
A little bit when I would say cheers, when they would go by and they'd say cheers, mate, or they would be like passing on by you, and I'd be like cheers. I kind of do that. I tried to convince my friend to do it. He tried it once, but didn't work well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like he just didn't commit to it.
Oh, dude, I would commit
he
hard.
did, but no, it's so cool to see all the sights, the Parliament. We saw like one of those soldiers on like a horse.
With the big black hats?
Yeah. We took
those
a picture
are real?
of them. The soldiers? Yeah. Well, we saw those actual soldiers outside of Parliament, but they were like in like a little home, like a little house covering
home.
because it was raining.
Oh, okay.
So they were in that. And then we were walking by another like place, and like they had like those soldiers, not the same exact soldiers, but like the same type, on horses. And so we took pictures with them.
Wow.
And then each place I went to, I got a different jersey. So I have like a lot of jerseys at home, which I was very excited about. I wish I would have picked a cheaper thing to get from each place because my friends were getting like keychains or little pins, and I'm like here spending 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 euro, which by the way is much more in dollars because our dollars is rubbish compared to that currency.
When did it click that it was like, okay, maybe I should have chosen
probably after Barcelona, which if you guys are keeping track, that's my second stop. My second stop, I realized I was like, this is a 70 euro. That's like 80 something dollars.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Or maybe $78 or something like that. I don't know. Then from London, we went to Iceland because when we first had our layover there, we thought it was so cool. But then we stopped in Iceland. We went to the Blue Lagoon, which is one of the 25 wonders of the world, which is a natural hot spring. We walked across cooled down molten lava or like lava rocks.
Yeah.
That was really cool. And then we also, two of us, not three of us, two of us, we jumped off a cliff into an ocean bay of up in Iceland too, and that was really, really cool. That was a lot of fun. So really briefly, that was my trip.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so just going before I get to my part, which it's going to a little precursor. It's myths about Europeans.
Yes.
And I found out, dude.
Disclaimer, take no offense if you're European.
Yeah. Well, starting now. First of all, I thought Europeans were like Americans, if that makes sense. Like if someone was like American, I could be like, oh, American. I thought Europeans, everyone was
a European.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying. So instead of an Italian person,
yes,
or
I thought everyone was
all
just
European.
The same.
Yeah, no.
So that's the first I found that out.
Yeah.
But as I was like looking up stuff, like people were like, "Oh, Americans are so dumb because they think all Europeans are the same." Or
yeah.
And I read, I was like, "What? They're not?"
It's funny because then the one example of that, I was in Rome sitting next to the Coliseum. Slight flex, but as I was sitting there, we were just sitting there and we had a lot of time. We really mastered seeing a city in a day. So if we ever spent more than one day, it kind of got boring because we saw everything the first day. But we were sitting there just relaxing because we did a lot of walking. Like,
What was your highest?
like our
amount of steps?
highest day was around like 21 miles of walking.
Which
That
is
was our highest
crazy.
day. And like our lowest day of walking was like maybe 10,000 steps or 9,000 steps, which is still a good amount of miles. But that's probably like our traveling days.
That's
honestly.
crazy, dude.
But
That's
like
crazy.
every day was like a lot of walking. Like I came back and I definitely lost weight, and I was eating like 2-3 times a day, a lot of gelato, multiple times a day, and then if you heard that, spaghetti in the morning. So like, but over there, the food is like a lot more unprocessed and like clean, compared to here. So it was like I ate a bunch of pasta and a bunch of pizza or whatever, and I never felt bloated or like lethargic.
See, that's what's crazy. Why is it different here when we eat pizza?
If I am right, which I don't know, is that here are restrictions on what's allowed in food for like the FDA is much more looser, or they don't care what comes in our body. Like for example, a simple thing like Red 40. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, is that what's in Cheetos?
Yeah, like a lot of like the red stuff or whatever. So basically, apparently that's like a high causing cancer substance. And over there it's not allowed. For example, like we went to, it's not allowed. So like in Iceland, so like outside the United States, we went and got, I think it was in Iceland, yeah. We got Flamin' Hot Cheetos. And they're not Flamin' Hot Cheetos. They were Cheetos, but like really hot Cheetos or something like that. I forgot what the term was.
Oh, okay. So
it's Cheetos.
Yeah.
But it's not Flamin' Hot. It's like something hot. I don't
Okay.
know if it's the same. But we ate it and it tasted much better than normal ones, but they weren't like as red.
Really?
Yeah, they tasted like more like, even though they're like fake already, they tasted more real.
I need to try some.
Yeah, they're actually very good. I like Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I don't eat like a bunch, but like those were like really good.
They were better than you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you travel around places? Because this is what blows my mind.
Yeah. So, by the way, was I saying something before that?
You were.
I'm
Cheetos? I'm sorry. You were.
No. It was the European, and then there's the Hot Cheetos, Iceland, the Red 40, the food. No, I think I answered your question.
What was my first question?
It was in like, why is it different over there or something like that for food?
But I felt like you were saying something and then I asked you that question.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, traveling. So we flew to Iceland. We flew to Manchester. Me and my friend Colin, we actually were like frantically nervous and stressed out, like beyond max for like the first like time that we decided that we're traveling to Barcelona. So the cities were a rough estimate. They're like, what we knew for sure was Manchester we're flying into, and Barcelona we had to get there by a certain date because that's when our another friend Jordan meets us there. So that was for certain. And then everything else after that was an idea.
Okay.
So like an idea we had on there was like Greece, but we didn't do that because we went, and Iceland was never on the original one, but we went to Iceland.
Yeah.
So we basically booked the ticket to Manchester, and then we were going to travel all of Europe. And then even though UK is different from Europe, but because it's separated, but we were going to travel all through that area and then come back by a certain date.
Yeah.
That's the only like things we knew. So when we got there in Manchester and we're trying to plan out our traveling, we realized that like we're traveling at a really bad time because everyone's on vacation over in August in Europe. So like from a flight from like Rome or like Naples, like Rome, Italy to Manchester, I could be like €16.
16?
16.
Okay.
But when we were doing it, even though UK is pounds, but when we were talking about the currency is euros, when we were doing it, it was like 100.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a crazy influx. It was like just the wrong time to do that. So we traveled. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we're going to travel. And like one idea was the EU rail system, which is like the train that goes all around Europe. But you pay like $300 something, and then you have to pay extra money, like $60 to reserve a seat. So that just didn't make sense. So we stuck to the bus. We did do a train, but that was like a subway or like a train system within a country. So that was much cheaper. But we like flew from Manchester to Barcelona. Then we took a 14-hour bus ride from Barcelona up to Paris, which was brutal. But we would do it at night, so we'd sleep. We didn't really sleep, but you'd like travel while sleeping. So you also don't have to pay for a place to stay.
Right.
So we were trying to save money. Then we bussed from Paris to Amsterdam. Then we bussed from Amsterdam to Berlin. Then we flew from Berlin to Venice, flew from Venice to Rome, and flew from Rome to London, and then everything else was flying. So we bussed 3 times in total. And then we would sleep in random spots. There was many nights that we slept in airports, like on the floor, or we would get to the airport late, sleep through the night, fly out in the morning, or we would fly in the morning and then sleep. Yeah. Like basically we'd spend nights where in airports, or like find like one of our hostels that we found, or hotels we found, was a cabin at this campsite, which was, I never thought I was going to be camping in Italy. Yeah. So we went to a campsite and we got this little cabin that was enough room for 3 beds. And when I say 3 beds, it was a bed and a bunk bed. And then there's space where you could walk in between. But like I was able to like lean and touch all the walls just from like leaning. And I'm like, and there was no AC. It felt like a lot of Europe, there wasn't like a lot of AC. So we like, there's many nights where like you're just sweating while going to bed. And if you guys have had like a bunk bed before, or even a bed with like metal, and you're hot, and you're just trying to touch the metal to be cold. So I'm like wrapping my body around like the ladder that goes to the top one. But yeah, that was like a lot of traveling that we did throughout the Europe. Is we'd spend like the most we spent at a day at a place was like 2.5 days. So get there, spend a full day there, sleep, spend a full day there, then sleep, then wake up and leave that day. Or it would be a lot of a day and a half that we'd be. Some places we were just there for a day. Like Amsterdam was just a day.
Yeah. And you talked about a little bit of your fanny pack.
Yeah.
A little bit, which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
So I had this fanny pack that I traveled with, like, I mean, now it's past it, so not anyone's not gonna try to rob me, but
oh yeah, you probably shouldn't.
I had my passport, I had like all my cash in there, I had like electronics, I just had a disposable camera and stuff. Like I had a lot of the very important things on me at all times, and my backpack was literally just like clothes, and like hats and stuff. So I found out in England, when you're walking around and you have fanny pack, people like that's a sign for a drug dealer, or in dealing of drugs, or willing to buy, or something like that. And also in Barcelona, I guess that was a thing. So I was walking around, and I would have people come up and be like, hey, do you have any like drugs on you? And they say cocaine, weed, or like things like that. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, keep on walking, or they would ask me to buy it, and I'm like, no. And I found out we met this lady who was a pub owner, and she goes, by the way, that's like a thing that says you're a drug dealer by wearing that. I'm like, oh really? I'm like, that makes sense now. And then in Barcelona, they're like, watch out for pickpocketing, which we didn't have any problem, because we're like 3 guys walking around. We didn't go into crowds and stuff like that. Right. But in Barcelona, the same thing. We were walking down like the beach, and we'd have people come, hey, you have anything? Yeah, you have anything?
Are you serious?
And you're just like,
crazy.
No, and you just keep on walking.
Did you have any like nervous interactions where you thought that maybe someone was going to try to do something to you?
There was one. So I went to Barcelona early. My friend Colin, he had to leave at a different time because...
Oh, yeah. Talk about the flights. Why you had to leave.
Yeah. So we had to... There's times where we all flew together, all 3 of us, and there's times where we didn't, because flights, we'd be buying them last minute. So a seat would be cheap, but say there's like 4 seats left, you would go in to buy a seat, and there's 3 of us. You'd go in to buy a seat for like 90 euros. Yeah. And then the person would then try to buy, and then another friend of us would try to buy a next seat, and then it'd go up to like 110 euros.
That's crazy.
And then you try to buy the next one, and then it'd be like 130. And that's on the low end. A lot of them was like 100, 120, 150 or something like that. So each seat would then get more and more expensive. So as sometimes we race to see who could purchase the first seat. But we had a lot of times we were like, all right, it's cheaper if we just split up flights. So we did that twice. So the first one, I went to Barcelona first. My other friend stayed back in Manchester. I was in Barcelona. I was sitting outside of security, outside the layover area. I was in the area that you stay in, and then you go out the doors to get picked up by a taxi or whatever. And that was my first night in the airport, and I barely slept because I found like a corner. I found a spot where I could charge my phone and stuff. But you have people coming in and out, and like people returning home, and they're greeting them in big parties. So you're kind of closing your eyes like around like 11:30, 12. Well, I didn't even start trying to close my eyes until 1 because like it's just hard to sleep, and you're so bored. And then like 1:30 people come in, 2:15 people come in, 3 people come in, 4, and then around 4:30 to 5:30, 4:30 to like 5:45, it was like dead. Like no one was coming in and out. And so I was just in this large open room by myself, like large open exit by myself. Wow. And this random guy, and I'm like up at this point because I'm like, I can't even sleep, so I was just on my phone watching stuff. I was up at this point, and this guy with like sandals, he has like nothing with him, and he just kind of like walks in. And it's like, he's far off. Like say there's like what football field is in 100 yards, right? Like 50 yards away. So he's like 50 yards away. I see him, and I'm like kind of just like, I look up, I see him, and I kind of look down, and I'm on my phone again. And I see him, he started to walk towards me. And towards me, like there's a bathroom off on the right corner. There's like places to sit by like this cafe that's closed. But I'm the only one at this time in this area. And so I kind of look up again. Now he's like probably like 30 yards away. And he's looking like he's coming in this direction. I don't know what's going to happen, whatever. So I look down, and I'm like doing my thing. And I look up again, and he's like 15 yards away. And at this point, I realize he's coming up to me. So I have my fanny pack, I have my phone, and I have my bag that I'm like laying on. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, all right, like he's going to come up to you. This guy I don't speak Spanish a very little bit, and comes up to me at the point. I make eye contact and walks up to me, and I have my phone in my hand, and he points at it and he said, "What is it?" And that's like broken Spanish or whatever. I also confused it for give or whatever, and I go, "What?" And he's like, "What is it?" And I'm thinking, I'm like, this guy's trying to like jack my phone off of me. And I'm like, I'm the only one. I can take him because I'm lethal. But I was just like, is this really going to happen? Like, does he have like a knife on him or something like that? And he says, "What is it?" And I go, "I'm sorry, what?" Because I'm like, he's saying something to me, pointing at myself. I don't know if he's just willing me to give it up. And then he points and hits his wrist like a time. And I tell him the time. It says 4:30. And he goes, "Okay." And kind of looks at me and like walks out. And I'm like, my heart's pumping. I go, well, I guess at 4:30 he doesn't want to rob anyone. But I was like, am I about to experience like a moment in time where like he's like, I thought that was going to go differently. And I'm by myself. Like one friend's in Manchester and another friend's flying in to Barcelona. So he was like crazy. Over the ocean at that time.
Okay. Before we get into it, the last question I have for you is, what was the reasoning for you to travel to Europe and travel back in and all that stuff?
So this has been a dream of mine since been very, very young, like years and years and years and years of dream of mine. And I've always loved the idea of traveling. Like my friends can get the nicest cars, get brand new clothes, get a nice place to live. I don't know, whatever. But like, the one thing that would bother me a lot is when like the only thing I got on my skin that I was like not jealous of or envious of, but like that level of like, man, is when they would travel. Even if it's something small, traveling. I love traveling, and like it's been a passion of mine. Like I've had jobs where like I've got paid a lot less, but I've had super flexible hours, and like they let me take off whenever and do all that stuff. And what that has allowed me to be pretty well traveled. I have just recently counted. Man, I don't want to say the number because I think I remember it, but I don't. I don't remember the number. So my age, I'm 25 currently. the number of places I've been is much more than 25. So I've been counting like all the states
Are
I've
you
gone
serious?
to. I've counted the countries I've now gone to. I just count it the one time I go there. So like, for example, I've been to Florida like over 10 times easily,
Yeah.
like so easily.
And you don't.
But I don't count 1, 2, 3, 4 times
Yeah.
I've been to Florida. I have one pin. I have a map, and I have pinned, and I don't want to.
And you don't count traveling days. So like
I
if
don't.
there's a layover,
Yeah, I don't count layovers.
You don't count that.
Because if I lay over, I'd have more places. But I'm there for a reason. So if I'm like, for example, we drove through Belgium. I didn't count Belgium in my trip.
Oh, really?
We could have gone back from Amsterdam there, but I didn't count Belgium. I just had to try. I just don't count that. But I've been to more places than I've been alive. So that's kind of like one thing.
That's
years I've been
crazy.
alive. So I've been like keeping track of it.
Yeah.
But traveling's just like been something that I've really prioritized because I want to see the world. I love all the culture. I love all that stuff. I think it's so cool. And it's kind of a bummer because, you know, I have so much more details about the trip, but we obviously don't have the time for that to get into everything. But traveling has been something that is just like a big, big passion of mine, to see the world, to experience things, to see what life is outside of America. When I was younger, I wanted to travel and live in a year here, a year there, a year here. And over time, as I've gotten older, I've realized like what's important to me, which is like my family, my friends, my church, and that I can go experience a place for a week or 10 days and get that. But it's really cool. It's the one thing I love about it is like it opened my eyes to culture and the people around the world, and that this place is much bigger than what we have.
Right.
So it's very, very cool, and I definitely have a lot of plans for more traveling. But backpacking through Europe, I think that is the epitome of traveling.
Right.
To backpack through Europe, have a single backpack and just go from place to place to place, spend so much money because you didn't plan. That's just part of the story. I'm now broke. But like those memories, those stories will last forever. And that was a dream of mine. And it's so cool. And I encourage anyone to have a dream of theirs. Everyone should have dreams. You kind of want to reach for goals. But it's so cool to say I have a dream and I've accomplished it and I've done it. And now I'm moving on to my next dream. So like this dream of mine to travel through Europe backpacking has been a big inspiration and has meant so much to me. And now like that was a goal and now I've done it. And now I can like continue on with other dreams and goals. Another thing that also like, you know, helped on later on so I've had this dream for years and years and years. But then a couple of years ago, my grandpa passed away, and one thing that he wanted to do with his brother was One thing he wanted to do with his brother was go through Europe and like dirt bike through Europe or something like that. I don't know how to ride a dirt bike, okay? So backpacking is enough, but that was another thing. I was like, I'd kind of like do that and like say like, you know, that was another cool thing on the side to kind of add to something of why to do it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's beautiful. And that's the thing that I love about you is you're about experiences, not about materials.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm almost tempted to just end it there. Unless you want to run through.
No, we can.
Okay.
That'd be a weird thing.
Okay.
You don't want
Okay.
people like crying and stuff like
Anyways, so these are myths, and Braedon is about to either say it is a myth or it's actually true.
that. Disclaimer: don't take offense.
Don't take offense.
This is just my experience.
Well, and I'll show you. I'll start off with the easy one.
Okay.
Do British people have messed up teeth?
That's an easy one.
Yeah, I feel like.
All right,
it's easy.
listen.
Like I'm saying, easy is like
Listen.
they do.
Well, I didn't say that.
Is it kind of like weird to look at?
No, they're not like messed up. But okay. There's a lot of people that have great teeth there, but you run into the people that don't have it, and you're like, oh yeah, so it's true what they say.
All right. We'll go to the next one. French people hate Americans.
False.
That is false.
False. I don't know if it was because of the Olympics.
Yeah.
When they sent out a group email about everyone be nice to everyone coming in or something. But we literally arrived at like 7 a.m. one day looking for a hotel, and a random lady, so sweet and so kind, came out of her balcony, saw us like discussing where to go, and she asked us, "Were you guys looking for the hotel?" And we said, "Yeah," and she pointed us right away. And we're on the outskirts of city center, they call it city center, of Paris.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, people let us, like, when we're walking as a pedestrian, they would stop and wait for us. They let us go. We got a bunch of help at, like, restaurants and everything.
Wow.
Everyone was very, very kind and nice in Paris and outside of city center of Paris as well.
Wow.
So,
okay.
false.
Okay, staying on that French. France is dirty. Like kind of.
So, no.
Okay.
The reason why I'm saying no is because the outskirts where we were at, it wasn't dirty, but I say no / maybe because we went during the Olympics, and you have hundreds of thousands of people coming specifically for those games and sports, so I only assume that the city definitely cleaned up for it.
But
the dirtiest by far, and the place I sadly wouldn't recommend go to is Amsterdam. That place, trash all over the streets.
Really?
I would not recommend going to Amsterdam.
Wow. Okay.
At all. Don't ever go there.
Barcelona, which is actually kind of crazy that you mentioned a story about it. For some reason, I was thinking you were in the UK when you told me the story. Barcelona is dangerous.
All right. So we're 3 guys. So if you're a girl, it might be different. But we really had no problems the whole time. There's those guys asking for drugs, but besides that, we were fine. Pickpocketing, everyone, even in England, in the UK, before we left, they were saying, watch out for pickpocketers. I think we were just guys, and I think we never walked into crowds or anything like that. So I don't want to say yes or no, but I had no moment in time where I thought, hey, this might be a little sketchy.
Yeah, wow. Soccer is their universal language. So soccer is everywhere.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it like
there
how,
was
our sports are?
Yeah.
Here?
There was a sign, I forgot if it was in Paris or in Barcelona, that had the no, like the red line with a red circle with a red line across it, like the no. Oh. And it was a picture of a person playing soccer.
Like someone would say no skateboarding.
Yeah.
Like here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Example, it'd be like no soccer. In the UK, when Manchester said all you have to do here in Manchester is eat, drink, and football. All across Germany, there's football places. It's the sport.
Yeah.
And each park had like a basketball hoop, but then with the soccer goal underneath. A lot of soccer goals.
Wow. Okay. Nobody speaks English in Spain.
Everyone speaks English everywhere.
Serious?
Yeah. So there's people that have less understanding of English, obviously, but like for example in Italy when we were doing the gondola. Now this guy talks with tourists every day, but he was explaining that, and I think another place they're explaining as well is that you cannot get a job in like business or anything like that if you cannot speak English.
Are you serious?
Because everyone in Europe, one thing I admire about, they all speak multiple languages. Not just like 2, but they speak like 3 or 4 sometimes, at least 2 languages. Wow. And it's always English and whatever the language is, because English is basically the language that's spoke through like the United Nations, through like that's the world's language altogether.
Yeah.
In fact, like a random thing is like I forgot where I was. I think I was talking to some Egyptians at the pool when we were in Italy, because they were traveling and doing the thing, and they asked me, "Is the dream still real?" When they were talking about the United States, like the dream of the United States, you move there, you can get anything you want in life you put into it, and I'm like, yes, to a certain extent, like. U.S. right now is like having its problems and everything like that. But the dream is still real. You can come to America and change your life completely. Yeah. Like work at it and make things happen. The U.S. is a great, great country under God.
Yeah.
And that's the main point. Under God, it's a great country.
Wow.
So, they were cool to talk to because we kind of went back and forth about like, oh, what do you think about U.S. culture and other cultures around the world?
Yeah. Wow, that's actually really crazy. Okay. Venice is very romantic. Or Venice is
I went with 3 guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know how romantic that is, but...
If you were to take your wife there...
Oh, yeah. It is very nice, very romantic.
Okay, this one I actually really want to know. This is my last one.
Okay.
And this would make me sad because, you know, that I wish I was, like, from the UK.
Yeah.
it's always raining in the UK.
100%. Yeah, when we were there, actually, it was like 79 degrees, 78 degrees. So like that's warm, but not hot. And it was like there was like no clouds in the evening or something like that. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Then the next day we were talking, it was cloudy again. It was still some sun, it was cloudy. It didn't rain, but we were talking to someone. They go, yeah, this is like our heat wave right now. And I'm like, what? And then girl goes, I got sunburned yesterday. Look at me, I got sunburned. And like one person's like, I'm jealous of that. And they were talking about me and my friend's tan.
Yeah.
Because they don't get tan. But in London, it was more apparent how much it rained.
Wow.
Yeah, like it rained. It at least like, it's like, so Florida, it's super sunny and then rain comes through and dissipates and leaves. London's like that, but it's just really cloudy and then rain comes and then rain goes away. There is sun here and there, but they're known for like not having sun and stuff like that.
That stinks. But it sounds like it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we were just blessed. Also, if you know Braedon in real life, and if you don't know him, but you've seen him in person, go up, reach out to him, figure out more about his amazing trip.
Yes. We had a speed run this, but definitely come up, ask questions if you're curious, because it was a very, very cool trip.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, a lot of different details, and maybe the next one we can talk about a little bit more or something.
Yeah.
But this one had to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah. Hey, also, thank you, Braedon, for saying that. Braedon has told, I've been in the room 3 times now that Braedon has told stories, and not once has he like downgraded it. He always kept the same energy about everything, and each story I'm always just, when Braedon tells stories, I'm just always so into it because he's a great storyteller. But it's amazing how he's just able to let you know. So if you have any questions, he will easily. I mean,
but
I'll let you
get a
speak for
friend
that.
like Caeden, because he just said 3 times. The first time was like an hour and a half. The second one was like 2.5 hours, and then now it's this little stint. So get a friend that cares, because I care about him too.
I can't. What?
You know what I'm talking about.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. But this is BC Procast, episode number 40, which means we're only 12 away, his favorite number, from getting to, or one of his favorite numbers, to 52, which has been a whole year. We started November.
That's crazy.
13th?
I don't even know.
12th? I don't know. It's on the sweatshirt somewhere. But hey, we hope you enjoyed that. We fueled your curiosity.
100%.
We answered some myths. We busted them. We also, there's still myths floating. No, there is no myths floating around. But we hope you enjoyed that. We fueled your curiosity. If you haven't prayed yet, make sure that you pray. It's good to talk to God. Read your Bible. We're reading through John right now. Our church is reading through John.
Yep.
And
start John and go through it day by day, chapter a day.
Yeah, and we're on John what?
12th.
We're on John 12. And so start now, catch up with us, read 12 books right away, be that person, and then just continue and ride along with us. We'll give you a reminder next BC Pro. But
like and subscribe. Write down a country that you'd be interested in going to.
Yeah.
But be blessed.
Peace.